I mean, that was probably even stranger than the Man City game, if we're being honest. The good news is, obviously, we got the win. We'll happily take the win. But that was a night that could have gone very wrong on multiple occasions. And I'd argue we even got a little bit lucky towards the end there. But a win is a win. But let's talk about what could have gone better and what did go wrong at the key moments. I would say we started off really, really well. I was impressed with the outlook that we had. Lots of possession, lots of overlapping runs from Dallo and Malacia, good play in and around the midfield. But then we got to the final third and then we were just trying to walk it in. It was just a little bit too much overplaying. I still don't think we have an identity when it comes down to breaking down teams that just want to sit off us. We've had this issue now for the last 5 or 6 years, I'd say, that if a team just sits back against Manchester United, we really don't know how to break them down. And I saw that a lot again today until the second half. What then eventually happened is, of course, we get a set play, and much like we saw in the Europa League a few years ago, we put all but one player into the box. The ball ends up coming out. Sancho makes the first mistake, which is deciding not to either play it to Bruno or playing it back into the box. He instead plays it back to said one player, left back in Malacia, who's immediately closed down by 2 players. And then rather than getting rid of it, Malacia then makes the second mistake, tries to beat those 2 players. And before you know it, it's a 3 on De Gea situation. There's no one back to defend it other than Eriksen covering from when he took the free kick. And we're 1-0 down. And then what I like to call the mentality midgets reared their ugly head again. We spoke about it in the Man City game. These players have no idea how to deal with going 1-0 down in the match. They just start panicking. It all gets a bit frantic, a bit agitated. And I saw that again tonight. Luckily, we were up against relatively poor opposition, with the greatest respects to Nicosia. But the moment we went 1-0 down, we were all over the place again. All of a sudden, Nicosia were picking up the ball, playing passes. Every time we got it, we were giving it away, being sloppy. And honestly, for a moment, I thought we could be going into the break 2-0 down. Thankfully, Ten Hag managed to get them in at half-time. Clearly had some strong words because there was a different impetus in the second half. I would definitely say that. I'm hoping that he took Malacia and Sancho off for tactical reasons, and that he just felt that Shaw and Rashford would do a better job. I'm hoping that he hasn't just taken them off because it was their mistakes that led to the goal. I think that would be incredibly harsh. I don't think that sets the right precedent, especially when I keep going on about how these players are already a bit weak-minded. If they now have to deal with the added pressure that if they make a mistake, they're going to get taken out of the team, that's just going to lead to even more mistakes. So I'm hoping Ten Hag brought them in and said, don't worry about it. We're just going to try something a little bit different in the second half. And boy, what a difference it made. And again, I spoke about it during the Man City game, how I feel like Rashford is incredibly lazy when he plays in that striker position because he's just sort of told to stay up there and wait for the ball. But when he plays on that left-hand side, he is a completely different animal. And we've not really seen him on that left-hand side all season. It's really been Antony on the right and Sancho on the left, or then Rashford on the right with Sancho on the left before Antony came in. And I just think Rashford is at home on that left-hand side. That is where he does the most damage, and we saw that all throughout the second half. And then also, we bring on Anthony Martial, who performed really well again. I saw a great stat a few minutes ago that Martial has contributed a goal or an assist every 19 minutes for Manchester United so far this season, which is unbelievable. I spoke about how well he did in pre-season. He made a good start to the season before he got injured, and these 2 substitute appearances since he's come back, he's contributed greatly as well. So I would expect, and I mean this, I expect to see the starting lineup at Goodison Park to be a front 3 of Rashford, Martial and Antony. Because I was impressed with Antony as well tonight. I think he was unlucky not to get a goal himself. And then finally, we have to talk about Cristiano Ronaldo, because I don't think I've ever seen a player miss so many gilt-edged chances in a single match. Just honestly, it got a little bit embarrassing towards the end of it. He missed open goals. He missed ones that you'd normally expect him to put in the back of the net. He was dragging shots wide. It then got to the point where other players started feeling sorry for him. Rashford had a clear-cut chance for a hat-trick. Martial had a clear-cut chance to score a second for himself. But they almost started forcing it to Ronaldo. And then he missed again. And then there were chances where he could have played other players in, but he was so desperate to score that he started shooting himself. And it needed to go right for Ronaldo tonight, and it just didn't. And I don't really know where that leaves him. Like I said, I expect the front three to be Rashford, Martial and Antony at Goodison Park. So I would expect Ronaldo to be on the bench. I can't see him starting. I wouldn't start him after that performance. Yes, he does need more time, but I think the best thing we can do is leave him out the starting lineup at Goodison. If we need to call on him, then we call on him in the second half at Goodison, and then we start him again next week in the second game against Nicosia. But like I said, if it wasn't for that, I think it could have been a much better night for us. On another day, Ronaldo would probably have scored 4 or 5. We would have won the game 5 or 6-0, but instead it ended up being 3-2. We ended up hanging on towards the end, a couple of good chances for them at the end, and then obviously those counters that we wasted. But it is a 3-2 win. It is another win, and it is 3 points in the Europa League. So thankfully, that one is out the way. We now move on to Goodison Park, where I do expect a better performance from United at Goodison. I think we're going to need to play a little bit better than we did tonight to get the result there. They are playing very, very well at the moment. But small positives, small negatives. We move on to the next game. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be back for my predictions tomorrow morning.